And so I ask you on this next slide, what comes to mind when you see these herbs? Do you have key phrases like moves blood, treats wind, tonifies the spleen? Do you know without hesitation the flavor and nature of these of the most commonly used substances? In school, we memorize single herbs and formula, their actions and their indications, the channels the herbs enter, the conditions they treat. This herb treats headache. This herb tonifies the immune. This herb releases the neck. This herb is good for sleep. By and large, this is how we begin our thinking of herbs. But it's imperative to understand why, how, and when will the herbs or formula not do what we expect them to do? If an herb can treat a headache, when will it not treat a headache? When will it worsen the headache? When will an herb support the immune system? When would the very same herb support and strengthen the pathogen? What's important to understand as we hopefully leave the paradigm of focusing on actions and indications in our books today is that actions and indications are solely the documentation of favorable outcomes. I'm going to say that again. What we have in our books today is only the documentation of success. It does not mean that herbs do what is listed in the books. It is not a promise. It does not mean that Huang Qi tonifies the immune system, or that Dongui builds the blood, or that Bai Xiao softens the liver. It's not magic. It's not like in goes Dongui, up goes the blood. It's not like filling up our car with gas. Only if the flavor of the herb is the appropriate effect on our patient's qi. If the effect of the flavor of the herb we use, as laid out for us in the Neijing, is appropriate for our patient, moving, dispersing, slowing, drying, draining, permeating, softening, solidifying, warming, cooling, only if we affect the qi in the appropriate way will we treat the symptoms successfully. All this to say, if we affect the qi in the wrong way, if we gather when we should disperse, if we disperse when we should gather, if we raise when we should lower or lower when we should raise, any symptom the patient has, the whole system, the whole person, will not be benefited by our treatment, and we will not successfully treat their headache. We may use an herb like chuanqiong and move the blood in a person who needed building or gathering. This would worsen a headache. We may use an herb like dongui to build blood in a woman who is blood deficient with dryness, with heat and irritability. And we would create actually more heat and dryness by using an herb that's warm, acrid, and bitter. Thus, technically, if a book says chuanqiong treats headaches, we should say chuanqiong worsens headaches. If our book says dongui builds blood, we could technically say dongui could injure the blood. We must recognize that what we have in our books as action or indication is only the positive outcomes of proper, appropriate application of the flavor of herbs. A doctor in history who used an herb in the right situation achieved this result. That's what we have in our books. That's all it means. Actions and indications are simply historical documentation. They are possibilities, not promises.